We can get started then. Thanks everyone for coming in. We want to use this session to talk about something new which we have got on the Straive side. My name is KG. You can call me KG Srinivasan. I head up client services and solutions for the research content vertical of Straive. Just a quick overview about who we are. You might have known us as SPI Global before. It's a rebranding which was done about a couple of years ago. Founded in 1980, we are one of the largest providers of services end-to-end for publishers and information providers, with focus on content operations, data, and technology. So two key aspects of what we work with are technology. We have a 1,200-member technology team and domain expertise. People with master's and PhD level degrees in content. So these are two key differentiators which we have. And in terms of the solutions which we offer, it's end-to-end across the publishing value chain, right from creation of content up to transformation and towards consumption, right? And two key aspects which enable this is our technology and platforms and data and insights, which is what we're going to talk about today in terms of how we enable this. So what do we see in the market today, right? And this is what we get as discussion with you, and we can continue to discuss over the 3 days, right? Time to market is becoming important. Everyone is speaking about author experience. Business models are changing. We are getting into a lot more of open access, which then drives the need for things to be more efficient. Paper mills and research integrity is brought about compliance and reputational aspects of it. And everyone is looking for what's the next new growth area, right? Everyone is looking for new avenues of growth. And finally, the pandemic has created an ability where the workforce is spread out. Everyone is not working, even for partners out in Asia, everyone is not working in the same offices, right? People are spread around. And then how do we enable collaboration? It's a question of spend more time in Zoom calls and Teams calls with video on rather than with somebody in the same conference room. So even the workforce is acting the same way. How do we then enable that? And a lot of this, we believe, can be answered with a little bit of technology solutions. So what does Straive do here in terms of helping business transformation? We look at platforms as a mechanism itself in terms of how some of the platforms which we have around publishing, around data, around e-learning can enable this. We take on custom development project for customers. These are point applications which we work and develop. What we're talking about automation here is working on publisher systems and creating robotic process automation to automate aspects. So this could be areas where if you're typing in areas into order fulfillment systems, etc. So these are things where we deploy bots or digital workers as they're called. Maintenance is where we take on maintaining legacy applications, doing testing on them so that the in-house teams can focus on core, future strategic areas. And finally, how do we develop a lot of analytics and insights from the data? So two components to it. One component is how do we get the data from disparate systems coming together and creating a view? And then how can you analyze that and then provide insights? So as part of this, we had launched AiKira. What is AiKira? It's basically a platform which takes into account point tools which were created. If you step back a little bit, SPI Global had its own set of tools talking about the organization. We have been growing inorganically as well. So we acquired Scope e-knowledge services, which focused on the secondary content database side around 2018. And then scientific publishing services in 2020, which was a captive of Springer Nature, again, known provider of pre-press services. So over the last 2 years, the goal was how do you look at technology solutions and applications which existed across 3 reputable organizations and then bring that together and create a best-in-class architecture. And that's what for us is AiKira. So part of it is branding. Part of it is, enabling the best-in-class practice. So it's a platform in itself. It's modular. There are modules. It's microservices based where people can consume what you need I'll probably get into what are the different modules in the next slide. It is powered by intelligent tools as well, right? It's a combination of AI and business rules, as I said. And the focus is on user experience. The focus is on process efficiency and around how do you enable content in the workflow. So what are the key modules, right? AiKira Assess is the assessment module. This can be deployed right upstream or at the acceptance stage. HTML-based structuring editing module is AiKira Edit. AiKira Art is the whole artwork module where you're able to do a lot of format conversion and evaluation of art. Page Pro is the composition module. It can use InDesign, 3B2, or even XSLT transformation. The whole proofing system is the AiKira Proof module, which is HTML based. Our proofing system has enabled collaborative proofing, which allows for two authors to work on the same file at the same time, as well as sequential work where after the author, it can route to the editor. And finally, when it comes to packaging, this is the final package which is being delivered. You could look at transformation at this point of time into different formats like HTML to EPUB, or even validations like if your file is accessibility compliant. Those are aspects which can be brought in as part of the packaging. The two key driving features are AiKira Flow, which is managing the whole workflow, which is the heart of the engine. And AiKira Insights is the data analytics piece. Now, with this time, we might not be able to cover all of this in detail. I'll probably touch a few of these modules. I'd be happy to set up separate time to walk through the whole end-to-end of AiKira as well. Stepping into AiKira Assets. So this started out as a usability testing solution, right? So right when you're getting into production, you get a manuscript. Can I take this package into production or not? That's the way it started. But now we have worked with customers into different use cases where we are able to deploy it even upstream, right? At say the editorial office stage as part of intake checks, as well as some of the ethics and authorship related checks. So it is customizable. Let me see if I can play this video here. We can just talk through this. So what we do is we are able to convert that right at the stage into an HTML. And on the right side, you've got the different sort of metadata features which come in. This is completely customizable, and you could then rank it to say which are exceptions, which are things which need a little bit more details, right? So you could look at things such as is funding information available. Desk assessment is something which is for authors. These are the ethics checks which can come in for specific areas around clinical trials, data availability statements. Those sort of aspects can be found at this stage. And the way we have structured is that somebody could quickly even also run through. And it's if a correction is made, then you could refresh it and it will make sure whether it will not show up. Similarly, we have an ability to look at figures to say if there are citation issues or if the graphics is of a lower DPI, duplicate caption numbers, all of these things can be provided as a self-service model. So we've got two approaches here. What I'm showing you is a self-service thing. Similarly, you could generate this report at the back end as well, and then this could be used. So today, the way we are using it is as part of our editorial office support. When an incoming manuscript comes in, the editorial assistants actually run through this, and then those checks are provided. Another use case which we have here is what is the authorship report. And this is something which is helpful for the editors, where we are able to look at analyzing the manuscript itself, look at, say, are the authors somewhere listed in retraction databases? What's the age of the references? What's the sort of, are there any self-citation aspects there? Are there aspects related to, citations which are in, non-listed areas? So these are the sort of analysis which we are looking at, and we are working with customers to further improve this. So there are aspects related to metadata checks which are coming in terms of what are the metadata in the documents which have been provided by the authors vis-a-vis, is there any difference there? How old are the documents? So the whole idea is that what sort of data are we then able to provide to the editors, which helps them see that could this article be potentially from a paper mill, right? That's the whole idea. We can't be sure, but then which are the ones which probably need further investigation. That's the whole idea of this portion of AiKira SS. The final aspect of this is what we called as a content profiler. So once you have done the assessment, you know what type of content is it. Is it heavy? We are able to look at the editing aspect of it. What level of editing will it need? You're able to score that. We are able to see the type of art, how many pieces of art are available. You're able to look at what sort of presence of tables in the document. So you could basically qualify this document and say, assign a complexity score to it. We can then take this and then overlay something related to the profile of the author. Let's say, is the author a Nobel-winning author, but the article itself might be simple. And depending on that, you could look at the skill matrix of the operator and assign it. So for example, if it is a complex article, then are we assigning it to somebody in the team who is capable enough of doing that? So we are able to manage resource allocation based on complexity, not just based on a FIFO model. Similarly, we can even look at making sure that something is simple, can that be processed faster as compared to something which is complex? So how do you balance out the quality aspect of it and the throughput? So that's the other aspect we are able to do through content profiling. Quickly on AiKira Art, we have done AiKira Art internally. What we have tried to do here is bring together as a factory model. So instead of having graphic operators separately across all our operations, we've kind of combined that together and created this as a platform. The model automatically extracts the images, it processes the images, and it scores the image. And that based on the scoring pattern at that point in time, the algorithm will decide whether you need to send it to a human operator or whether you need a new image that this resolution is too low, or whether this is good enough to approach it. So this is what I'll show you is just the QA portion here, if I can get this to work. Yeah. So this is just the QA portion where on this side, this is actually the extracted image. Here is the graphics itself. And these images are then lined up for an operator to just view and then accept or reject. And as you develop the intelligence, you could improve the scoring. It's completely customizable in terms of the score at which you need to push it to a human operator. Some people can say, I want 100% QA. Some people will say that I want it only below 90%. So it's completely automated that way. So this is the AiKira flow interface. What we have seen is that previous workflows had a common on-premise system. And we realized this towards the pandemic that we've got different types of users. You've got heavy users like typesetters who need full access to the system. You've got users who are doing copy editing on HTML. A web version would be fine for them. At the same time, you also have a project manager in the evening. They just want to look at the status of a file and reply to an email, who should be able to do that on their mobile phone itself. So that were the different use cases for which we have created in such a way that it's a single code base, but then you've got different users who can tap in and use it to the way they want it. Communications and alerts is another thing. What we have seen again from experience in production is that a lot of emails going to and fro, things get lost. What we have done in AiKira Flow, which is the workflow module, is instructions at a journal level are captured there. And every article has an ability wherein you've got a message thread. So any queries which are raised, any responses, all of it are captured. So there are two ways somebody could answer these messages. They are getting a trigger on Outlook, and through that, similar to when you have collaboration on, say, Google Docs or on Office 365, it's built around the same model. Or if they have logged into AiKira Flow, you've got the notifications saying these are the things which we need to answer to. The advantage, what we see because of this, is that anybody who is working on the article can go in, look at those responses rather than identify 5 emails, around 500 emails. And most common reason for something not happening is somebody forgot to look at that email. So that's what we are trying to avoid with this. This is the status check on AiKira Flow, where if you want to see where an article is, you are able to see that across the different processes. As well as one of the things which came up from customers was that an ability to go take a look at the files itself. So you could actually look at files at a particular point in time. If you want to go pick that up, it's available there to go pick that up for additional activities as well. We are also able to, in AiKira Flow, create a mechanism wherein there is collaboration. Let's say there is an approval module which the client needs to work on and then pass that on to somebody else. Those are aspects which we have been able to bring in as part of AiKira Flow. And last but not the least, the insights portions this is the latest thing which we have launched. So we are able to integrate Power BI as part of the different data points which we collect. And then this is available for our customers to take a look at, and a couple of things, use cases where we have used this, right? One of the things which always comes up today is, do we need a PDF during the initial proofing stage for the author to review when the author is proofing at an HTML? So do we need to typeset at the beginning or not? And a lot of times we go with anecdotal information. So with this, what we are able to see is, because the online proofing system is connected, how often is the author actually opening the PDF during a proof review? And then that becomes a data point. And in one of the cases, we saw that about 85% of the time, the PDF was not even opened. And there were still discussions happening to say, do we still need the PDF or not? But then that data point, we were able to bring that forward, and then that enabled a decision, right? 15% is still important, but at least there is a metric to decide whether we need to do the PDF at that point in time or not. Internally, it also helps us because there are times when authors could open the PDF and provide comments as well. So which are the points where somebody needs to check if there are comments in the PDF? So this data that the PDF has not been opened, then make sure we say that we don't need to look at the PDF at all. We are also able to, what we are working on right now is trying to look at how do you benchmark in a portfolio of journals, right? And we started off looking across all the journals, but then realized that discipline-wise, the TATs, the amount of changes would come is different. So in an anonymous way, we are trying to say in a similar portfolio of journals, how are, say, the percentage of changes, where are changes happening, right? If you look at change density, is it happening in text? Is it happening in figures? Is it happening in equations? And then compare that within a journal portfolio. Let's say if you're looking at a universe of mathematics journals which go through this platform, you could look at what is your particular journal, how is it behaving across that universe of all journals and within universe of journals in a discipline. And then that can provide some insights in terms of, is the corrections less, more, what is the turnaround time for proofs? How is that working through across this journal vis-a-vis other journals? So that sort of insights are then possible for benchmarking and identifying opportunities for experience as well as turnaround time improvements. So it's another view of what sort of data points become available. So all of this is customizable. It's plugged into Power BI or Tableau. Integrations are again possible, which we have done with client systems as well. From a metadata transfer, everything doesn't need to be manual. So we are Rich, and my colleague Rich and I are here over the next few days. So thank you for your time. Happy to discuss further, but happy to take a few questions as well. Sorry?
Is your platform start from search?
No. It starts from acceptance. So we don't have a submission platform, but AiKira Assess, which you saw, we are able to integrate that with submission systems, wherein you're able to, through an API, get a report out. Yes, please. It's a combination. So it would look at presence of those statements is one thing we could look for. The second thing is, let's say there is a link which is there to say data availability is data is present at this link. Is this link valid or not? So we can even look at, say, clinical trial numbers and then cross-check to see, is this clinical trials number registered somewhere or not? So those are some aspects which we can do as well. It's managed by the project manager. So at this point in time, we have still kept it a human in the loop where somebody reviews that and then makes a decision that which are the checks which probably are more of warnings, where to say that at some say revision stage this might be available as compared to things which would be sendbacks. Yes, please.
That I think we already had in your arsenal and which things are new. What is the sort of breakdown?
It's a tough one to answer because it's a continuous evaluation, right? Say, for example, even if you look at, say, the editing solution or the proofing solution, which we were talking about. So it started off as a PDF proofing system about 4 or 5 years ago. It migrated to an HTML proofing system. Now the question what we are looking at there is this whole thing about collaborative proofing, how two people can work at the same time. Security is becoming a key aspect where, how do you make sure that there is a layer of security, but at the same time, a lot of you will, if you put a login password at the proofing system, then it degrades author satisfaction, right? So how do you kind of manage those aspects? So there is a component of continuously evolving there as well. But having said that, I would say that the upstream aspects of a lot of in areas around brand management, compliance, research integrity aspects on paper mill, those are all very new. The production aspects of it is continuous improvement of areas we're working on. Yes.
Yeah, I have a from you received something.
It depends on the workflow. See, finally, because this is only enabling the workflow, it all depends on how many steps involved are there. Like, say, what's the level of copy editing which is needed? Do you need to do a typesetting or not? So ideally speaking, if there is minimal copy editing, you could ingest it and within that same day, it is available for the author. But if you need to do a detailed copy editing and graph work, then it takes maybe a few days. Yeah. But in the most simplest thing, what you saw is in the demo as AiKira assess, if it's accepted, and you could immediately almost the author could see that. Thank you everyone for coming in. And as I said, so you had a question. Yeah. Sure. Well, we are pushing this forward into whichever is the publisher's hosting system, right? So we run this out of Azure Cloud, but once we create a package, we do not do the hosting itself. We will then push it into the publisher's hosting platform. Yeah. So we just define a package and we push that through. So we can do a API integration in terms of accepting a package and then pushing that out as well.